All featuring Mr. Easy Zagadat. It's Lulu Saidi and Willis Raburu. The time now is 12:29 in the PM, and you're tuned into the Rhythm Junction on a Hot 96. People, we're talking about common mistakes we make when we apply for jobs, during interviews, when we get that job, and most importantly, how when we get that job, we can grow our careers. And in studio with us is Professor Hazel Gashuga, who is my mwalimu, by the way. Let me floss a bit, let me brag a bit. But she's my teacher, okay?
We shall sit knowing.
Yes, please. Sit knowing. She is a Professor JQuat, adjunct faculty at Strathmore Business School, and a specialist and consultant in HR and change management. Before the break, you're telling us about pre-interview, and there's the body of the email that you're sending your application with. And there's something very important you're saying during the break about this body of the email.
So what I was saying, the body of the email, or just the letters that you send that are supposed to support your documents, it's very important to craft the pitch of the letter to align with the job you're applying for. And that should be something that you do every time. There is no one standard letter for all the jobs.
Okay.
You need to keep crafting your letters and aligning them to the job that you're applying for. So it actually annoys interviewers sometimes when you have a standard letter that does not show any link with the job you're applying for, and you're saying you're the person that you want. So what is it that makes you stand out? Doesn't come out in that letter, and that's the important thing. It needs to come out. Even carefully crafting, what is it that you have that would give you the niche for that job?
And what about those people? Because sometimes I see some letters where, so they go to the job description, they say must be a team player, must have worked in an international organization. Somebody copies that, and then goes to the, I think I'd be a good fit for this because I am a team player, I have worked for a national league, I have 8 years experience. So basically copy pasting is that okay, or there's a way you can? You
can craft it in a way creatively. It's hard to show team player. But there are some things which are already speaking in that letter or in that advert that are important. If they are saying international organization, it's nice to show evidence of having worked in those in your CV, but also in that letter, just saying that you have a number of years experience in those kind of organizations, because then that makes you stand out against everyone else that they are looking for. And remember, they don't have so much time, because you could be applying for a position that there are 10,000 applicants or 15,000 applicants, like in one case I know. So you really need to make sure that your letter and your CV are not so long, but they're actually showing you're the right person for that, you're the right fit for the job. So that now as they go into your CV, at least they have an idea, this is somebody who looks like they're qualified for this position.
So you can give a short and nice story that would show that you are actually a team player. Okay. Then another thing, so many people duplicate what's on the CV on the email body. You know? That should not be the case.
It should just be summary, very summarized, because you realize you cannot duplicate a whole CV on that. Then what's the difference? It just needs to be a summary letter introducing, and then all the details. In fact, you just say all the details are attached in the curriculum that is attached.
So now we are done with the pre-interview. So you've applied for the job. You've made sure that your body is a story that shows the skill sets that they want, an interesting story. Then now you're called for the interview.
Now when you're called for the interview, first of all, rule number 1, just be there on time. It has been very annoying. Sometimes I've gone to panels and somebody had applied for 2 different jobs. Hence they were called day 1 and day 2. They came late on day 1 and they came late on day 2. So day 1 you could forgive because they were from up country. But now, what do you say about day 2 when somebody comes in 45 minutes late? At that point, you're just showing who you really are right from the word go. So that thing of arriving on time is really important, and just thinking through how you're dressed. That is a given. I mean, a little cologne, sometimes you leave the room smelling so bad.
Because you've been sweating.
You announce your presence.
Yes, so just those things about being neat, tidy, even as you go into the interview room, and how you even package your documents is important because it shows how organized you are. Sometimes you're being asked for documents, you're not even able, they were here, but you're not able to trace where they were. Just organize your documents in a way that you yourself can trace them, and you show that you're kind of organized even as you're presenting them to the interviewers. And then as you sit now, you get ready for the interview. Show like you're ready now for engagement with the panelists.
Let's talk about...
So what about when you are going for the interview and you know most people say suit and tie?
Yeah.
But what about you? You're going... That's what you're going to ask? Yeah. What about if you go to a place where you know that they're dressed, they're not so
casual.
strict, they're casual. Like let's say, for example, you're going to Google.
Or even media, you know?
Or media.
Yeah, you can come in shorts. Nobody will ask you.
Wow.
For real? You can do that? I should just come in shorts?
You can come in shorts. Like in the weird as well. So if you know that the organization say is casual, say the Googles or any other place that they're not really, or a construction site.
If they mention it's casual,
so until they mention,
just go smart casual.
Okay.
If they mention
it's casual, just go smart casual. But if it's not indicated, then just be formal.
Okay.
Yeah, but fact remains, it's true. Places like Google will be looking for casual. They're not even interested in how you dress. It's more casual in nature. But there are not so many Googles.
It's true.
That's right.
So you realize that a lot of the places they at least expect, even if you're not wearing a tie, but you actually are presentable in a way that somebody will think you're a serious candidate for the position. Because the idea is to show them you are a serious candidate for that particular position. But however, even as you teach in the business school, there are some cases where we know that they would ask you to really come informal. And the more informal is when they would be able to tell that this is the kind of person you want. They're creative even in their dressing and all that. But you see, they'd have told you about it. So I think it would be wrong to assume. It is better to always be safe because you don't know who you will meet in that panel.
Okay. I've always thought when you walk into the room, you should stand up until you're asked to sit.
Yes, it's a good thing to stand up until you're asked to sit.
Okay.
Because they also need to show you where you're sitting.
Yeah. And you don't speak unless you're asked something?
Yes, it's good to wait until they ask you because again in an interview, they always say, be very factual. This thing, how do you end up a kubonga story?
Exactly. They're not your pants.
And the more you say, the more sometimes you give up that might not have been necessary.
Okay.
So it's important to really keep the atmosphere the way the panelists are keeping it.
Okay. So you should not pull like a Jeff Kwenanger or Obama when you enter the room. How are you? Hi, how are you doing? How are you? How are you? How are you? You say hey to everybody. Or
I've seen members who will just come and greet everybody with hands. Then they'll wait to be told to sit down, which is okay. But if you're not able to do that, some of us are so panicked during that time, especially the young ones. At least have the courtesy to say good morning, everyone.
Yes.
And I've come for the interview for this position, and then wait for them. To tell you where to sit down.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's better if you just say good morning because, for instance, I get insulted with people who get comfortable around my space without me having allowed them to be in my space, you know? So maybe I don't want a handshake immediately, but you can say hi first and maybe we can finish with a handshake. I don't know, I've always felt that way. Let's talk though about the big question.
The big question.
Actually, it's big questions. First, you're asked, tell me about yourself. Every time
they ask you, who is Willis?
Yeah, who is Willis? You know, every time I'm asked that, then I'm like, okay, I'm the firstborn. I went to school, and I'm like, no, maybe they don't want me to tell them that.
Yes.
And I'm confused.
Yeah. That question about tell us about yourself, they're looking at how you fit the profile of the job that is advertised. So what you're telling about yourself should really be telling about how you fit the profile of this particular job that they advertise. So you can begin with the preliminary, which would be, this is Hazel, married, 3 children.
Okay.
And now, in terms of skill, these are my skills. In terms of experience, these are my experience. In terms of achievement, this is what I've been able to achieve. In terms of success, this is what I have as success. Now, you see, you're actually showing myself in relation to this job that has been advertised. And at that point, as much as it's not a lot, it might be 2, 3, 4, whatever sentences, but you have taken time to think about who is Hazel in relationship to the job that has actually been advertised. And they always say about that question, be factual, just stay factual.
Okay.
You know, you can end up giving too much information. Just stay factual, stick to the facts, because that becomes important as you're telling people about yourself.
Okay.
So you should not
Because there's
just...
so much you can say about yourself.
Yeah.
Honestly, like if I was going to say about myself, there's so much I can say about myself. But is it relevant for the position?
And is it different because I see, like for example, you said they send your CV and your certificates, so they already know this information. But sometimes I see even just to use the Kenyan setup, for example, when the cabinet secretaries etc. go to the sort of the panel, their panel before parliamentary committees, they start by I was born in a village called Tungatunga. I then later attended Tungatunga Primary School. Then I went to secondary school where I achieved my blah blah. Then I went to then they go into the work experience that I stopped. Then I went on to pursue a doctorate, etc. So in an interview setup, is it okay to start way back? Because first of all, it's on your CV. They already have the certificates. So like you said, they're asking to know how you relate to the job. So must you say I attended primary school in?
It's not the same because it's already there. So
Yeah.
actually, you're saying it's not necessarily it's already there. So
Yeah.
you can say, you can refer to where I went to school is already there.
Okay.
But bring out, what is so important about that question is to bring out how you fit into the job that has been advertised.
Okay.
Because then it's about my profile, this is who I am, and this is how I fit into the current job. So even if I'm not saying too much, because it's usually an opening question, but basically it's a question that shows your passion. So it should be something that you really answer with passion.
Okay.
You should be passionate as you answer who you are
Okay.
and why you fit into that particular
Yes.
position.
Yes.
And the strengths and weaknesses. Tell us about your strengths and weaknesses.
Strengths are easy.
Strengths are easy.
Strengths are
So you
easy.
should brag about the
So you
strengths.
should have thought about them
Okay.
in advance
Uh-huh.
because there are certain things about your job, if you've worked before,
Uh-huh.
that you've been able to achieve.
Okay.
And even if you have not worked,
Mhm.
maybe you have been in school,
Mhm.
there are certain things about you that were strengths that you know were strengths. Some of us were leaders, some of us were student leaders, some of us were top in class in terms
Okay.
of what we were doing.
Uh-huh.
Some of us did projects that won international acclaim somewhere. So even if you have not worked, think about positive things about yourself that you can bring out that show that, this is the kind
This
of
is-
person I would want on
Okay.
board.
Okay.
So whether you've worked or not worked, this is a question you should have thought about very carefully
Yeah.
and want to bring out what is it that makes you really stand out
Okay.
as compared to everybody else who will be applying. And then when it's your weaknesses, now that's a question you need to be very careful about.
Okay.
I always say very careful because it's about when they're asking for your weaknesses, they want to see how self-aware you are. Are you aware that you have? So it's very bad to go and say I don't have any weaknesses.
Oh, okay. So then you're not self-aware.
Then you're
if you
not
say that.
self-aware.
Okay.
You cannot say you don't have any weaknesses.
But then how does your weakness not sound like, hey, this one we cannot bring on board?
Now, what you want to be careful about when you're answering that question in terms of what are your weaknesses is think about something that is a weakness that you're working on or have worked on. And then you should be able to say that one of my weaknesses, for example, is ABCD. However, I'm so aware about it and it is something that I've been working on and have improved. And even maybe you have taken profiling tests that show you are here and you have actually been able to move. So
Okay.
it's important to show you are self-aware
Okay.
about some of the things that would be a limitation.
Okay.
So we have a consultancy that's called Interlink. So one of the things we do is we do profiling for people, and we'll tell you what your weaknesses are,
Okay.
so that you're aware and you begin working on them even before you go for those interviews. You actually have that information,
Okay.
and then you're able to show even per year how you're tracking your improvement from an area of weakness to make it an area of
Of
strength.
strength. Okay. So these are some services that maybe you could get from Interlink, like you said.
Yeah.
Cool.